99% of LinkedIn profiles look like online resume. Only 1% of people on LinkedIn take advantage of this incredible platform for personal branding. Personal branding is not only for influencers, it's for everyone, especially if you're a professional woman who struggles to get seen and to grow your career. At the end of the day, personal branding is just a fancy word to say you want to create an authentic presence on LinkedIn. You want to create a LinkedIn profile that reflects who you are. You want to create a profile that nobody else on the platform could have, because it's so personal, it's so you. So 2 days ago, I talked to you about the fact that LinkedIn can really strengthen your self-confidence, because if you have an outstanding LinkedIn profile that is optimized for the algorithm and that is truly authentic, you first show up more often in search results. And second, you get contacted more often. Like, the reach and the impact you have on LinkedIn with those two factors, profile optimization and personal branding, is exponential because you get found more often, and your conversion rate is much higher because your profile is so convincing. It's personal. We can relate to you. We can have an idea of who you are and how you work. Today, I would like to focus on personal branding for everyone, meaning for you. You too can use LinkedIn for personal branding. Before I deep dive into this, if you don't know me, my name is Virginie Quentin. I'm a LinkedIn coach, and I've helped so far more than 60 women take advantage of this amazing platform to grow their career. I'm also the co-author of a Wall Street Journal bestseller, 60 Days to LinkedIn Mastery. So now, how do you deconstruct this buzzword of personal branding? I remember I used to be afraid, like, to me, personal branding felt like very intimidating. So a very easy way to get started is to go into each of your work experience. So each of the role you had that are listed on LinkedIn, and you start the job description field by telling us, why did you make that step? Why did you choose this company? Why at this time? Why this role? Because, you know, most profiles on LinkedIn just are a copy of your CV on your computer. This means that probably you just copy pasted your bullet points and you put them on the job description in your LinkedIn profile. And this is such a waste opportunity, because LinkedIn is a platform, it's dynamic, there are so many different rules and opportunities to take advantage of compared to a static CV, resume. So on LinkedIn, the key is to keep people interested. So, you know, we are in, you are busy, you have your to-do list, you have to achieve your goals, your priorities. I know it's a lot, but if you can manage to just take a step back and say, like, hey, I took this job because I was passionate about that, or the company had just been acquired and had a new investor, which meant the company would grow, or I joined this startup because this is the future and this is how it's going to happen and this is how we are impacting these lives. We want to know, this is much more interesting than your day-to-day tasks, because we already know a little bit about that by your job title. Your job title should say something about what kind of job you do. But on LinkedIn, you want to really put your motivations out there, and don't just write things you think people want to read. Just be yourself, as cheesy as it may sound, but at the end of the day, that's what's the most interesting. So let's say you left a job after 6 months or in the probation period. Tell us why it was not a fit. Tell us why. We want to know. The worst thing you can do is to try to avoid those kind of conversations. So if you can put it out there, then there is kind of no, it's out there. So if you get invited to a job interview, it's out there. They already know. So it's like no big deal. It cannot really shake you during the interview process. On the other side, if you stayed 10 or 20 years in the same company, tell us why. Tell us why, like how they made a great job at promoting you and why you loved this company mission and culture and how it was a great fit for all those years, and maybe also why now you're ready for something else. You know, we want to know because we all have so many preconceived ideas why someone leaves after 3 months or why someone stay after like for 10 or 20 years, and we all have different preconceptions. So you want to be, personal branding is about owning your story. If you don't give details, if you don't provide this information and don't do this storytelling work, you lose control about how people will interpret what you've done. So storytelling is about being authentic, but also strategic, because you don't want to leave any space on your profile for doubt, questions, mistrust. So if we put it out there, of course it takes work, it's not the first draft is never the best one. So it's a work, it's a process. But yeah, personal branding is about sharing your journey. It's much more than your current job. You are much more than your current job, but because we are so busy, we kind of, we kind of forget everything we've done and all those achievements and ideas and motivations we had. So that's why it's a process to create an outstanding and authentic LinkedIn presence. Now, if you quit your job to follow your husband overseas for his career, tell us, don't just don't let your gaps, and this is especially true for women. Women have much more gaps in their career than men. So if you have gaps because you had the child, or because you followed your husband overseas somewhere in a new country and you had to quit your job, tell us, tell us that you love this position, but because of family new priorities or because your husband got a new opportunity, you had to leave this role to follow him, and which led to maybe a gap, maybe not, on your CV, on your LinkedIn profile. But again, don't leave this space blank. Don't let us imagine what could have happened why you left a job maybe earlier than you would have wanted. Same if you left your job to create a company, or same if you were unemployed and decided to use this time to create your own company. And this company didn't become a huge success so that you came back to the workforce. If that happened to you, it's a great thing, because companies, they love entrepreneurs. It means those employees that were entrepreneurs, the companies, they know they are super proactive, they take initiative, they can work independently, we don't have to look over the shoulders to make sure they work. So companies and hiring managers, they love entrepreneurs. So don't be ashamed if you started a company that didn't work out, because I know and you know that you learned so much from it, and companies will love that. So you definitely need to include this on your LinkedIn profile. You have to have a position for this company, for this venture, and you have to tell us, like, give us details in the job description, because entrepreneurship is so captivating and inspiring. So we want to know, and that's really how it's a great way to show what kind of professional you are, showing why you did it, what you did, what were the struggles, why it didn't work. It's showing people how you think, how you work, and this is so, so powerful. Okay, so you do this work of telling us more about the why you joined or why you started a new role for each job you had. And then you go back to your about section and you have to kind of highlight your highlights. So the about section is pretty big. You have more than 2,000 characters to connect the dots of your career journey. What you want to do is to start very, very strong, very different, because LinkedIn will show only a few lines. So you want to make sure that people want to click see more, so they read the full story. So ask yourself, what is unique to you? What can nobody in your company say? Like, or what experience does almost nobody share with you? So, for example, did you work in Silicon Valley for 12 years? Or did you organize the VIP lounge for the World Cup for 150 countries around the world? Or did you start to learn accounting where you were 11? Those are real life examples from my private clients. And these are the kind of sentence we would start with the about section. I learned accounting when I was 11. I started to learn accounting. Or I spent 12 years in Silicon Valley and here's what I learned from it. Depending on where you are, if you live in Silicon Valley, it's not going to be really crazy different. But if you live in Switzerland and you talk about having working 12 years in Silicon Valley, this is kind of unique. I know only one person who can say that. So you have to find that one thing that's really different. And maybe it's not the most recent and the most important thing in your eyes, but you just have to kind of make it interesting enough for people to click see more. Because if you start with experienced professional with a successful background of blah blah blah, I'm already asleep. So find something catchy that almost nobody else can say about themselves. And then you highlight your highlights, meaning if you have big names, big company you worked for, you want to mention them. If you worked on big project, you want to mention them. If you got big awards, you want to mention them. But of course, telling your story, connecting the dots. Then when you've done this work on your in your about section, you jump back up to your headline, because your headline and everything on your LinkedIn profile has to be connected and telling the same story, supporting the same message, supporting the same vibe. So your headline you can see your headline like as a title for your about section. And your about section is like a long summary of all your job descriptions, kind of. And doing this work, this is personal branding. This is like highlighting your highlights that only you have, and showing us your motivations. This is personal branding, and this is for everyone. And again, especially for women who struggles to get seen at work. And when you do this work, you automatically add so much more context. And by that also, I mean keywords that get picked up by the robots, by the algorithm, and that help your LinkedIn profile rank higher. So this is so important because you need, it's your responsibility to make sure you show up higher in the search results, that you show up in the first page, maybe even in the first result. You have to help the algorithm. You have to help the LinkedIn robots to find you and to assess your profile for the right keywords. Okay, so often I get questions like, hey, actually, how would that work in my industry? Because LinkedIn and doing this kind of storytelling, personal branding thing, it's not common at all. And I have to say, if LinkedIn is the main network for your industry, then LinkedIn is going to be the right place. And if nobody is doing this, It's amazing because then you're going to stand out so much more and so much easier than if everybody is doing this, you know? So, I've worked a lot with professional women in marketing, in sales, in finance, in HR, in IT. So those are industries for which personal branding on LinkedIn to grow your career is going to be amazing and maybe less surprising. But nevertheless, you know, LinkedIn, if it's the main place for your industry to meet and exchange, then you should definitely take advantage of this. So far I've not seen an industry where I can say this doesn't work. You know, I could say, for example, academia is not really on LinkedIn. It's not really the thing, but it's also because, well, I'm not an academic, but to what I know, LinkedIn is not the main platform for academia people to meet and share. So it makes also sense that that would not be the right place to do the work. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, please send them to me. Ask your questions in the comment below, or send me a private message with your questions, because I'm going to answer all of them tomorrow in another LinkedIn Live. And so if you have questions about LinkedIn, profile optimization, personal branding, how to use LinkedIn to grow a career, please send me your questions, because tomorrow I'm going to do a live and answer them all. Okay? So I wish you a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.